Right Music channel coming live to you. Gonna make some adjustments in my lighting here. Yeah, that works. That's good. And how is everybody doing this evening? Hope everybody has been fine this week. Good to be here. Really, it's been an eventful week. By the way, whether you're watching this live now or you're watching this in the rerun, I want to give you my appreciation for doing so. It means a lot to me. I want to start out tonight's. Hey, Ben. Good to see you. Yes, I did say Happy Mother's Day to my mom today. I'm blessed to be able to still be able to do that. So, yeah, I wish the same for everybody out there as well. Hope you've had a good Mother's Day with you and yours. I want to start out tonight's show kind of talking about a guy that unfortunately recently passed away. Mike from China Skeptic Guitar Channel. Some of you guys might be familiar with him. Unfortunately, passed away from the ALS that he was suffering from, and we've suffered a great loss, in my opinion, to the community at large here on YouTube, the guitar community, because this guy was a true warrior out there. You know, I first bumped into his channel quite by accident back in the day when he was talking. His main focus was one of his main focuses. There were several. Was looking at Gibsons and he would go into shops and show that there are guitars in there that were being sold online and in shops, unfortunately, that were counterfeits. They were basically Gibsons. And that's good work. Hey, welcome. Good to see you. Thank you so much for showing up. And he was one of the pioneers, I believe, in the investigative kind of journalism front that we have. There's certain guys here in this community that we have that are like that, and he was definitely one of the pioneers in that. And the education that he put out there on Gibsons and his thoughts on them, regardless of whether you agree with those or not, still, he had some solid points regarding them. But his main good work really was getting them out of the shops being misrepresentative of something that they weren't. And also his work digging into, last year, digging into the Hendrix Stratocaster that supposedly is an original that there's a lot of provenance issues with, and Brad over at the Guitologist channel and him, I believe we're working on that angle, and really a lot of great investigative work there, and so he's going to be missed. I just wanted to start out today's show talking about him. Just if you haven't had time, you haven't checked out his channel. It's China Skeptic Guitars CSG channel, and his name was Mike. And never conversed with him directly, but I enjoyed his content. He just really is one of those guys that you could sense even through this medium of YouTube that he was a good guy, and so he'll be missed by many for sure. This week, guys, I told you last week that I was going to be looking into an auction for a guitar. And I want to finish that story because it's played out now. I was on an auction site and I put in a bid for a Dean guitar, a copy of their Cadillac 1980. And the bid that I had put in rode for quite. It met the bidder's bottom line. I forget what the term is, but he let it ride there for a while, and exactly like I said, literally 5 minutes before the auction was going to close, some guy comes in and he outbids me. And I did the math. I thought about it a little bit before, and I knew what my stop point was. So I bid up to my stop point. And the funny thing about that auction is that I waited till it got down to 5 seconds, and then I put in my bid. But that auction starts the clock back up at 1 minute, or 1 minute 30 seconds. So it gives the other person a chance to do it. And he put in a bid for an amount that, frankly, after the auction fee, which was 9%, and shipping on that, depending where he was, I don't think he was in Italy. So yeah, definitely the shipping on that, it didn't make sense to me. So I lost that bid. I lost that auction. But to make up for it, I did purchase a pretty rare Epiphone that's on its way from Japan. I told you I was going to start looking at Japanese guitars, and I have a Tak Matsumoto. Tak Matsumoto is a pretty well-known guitar player. Not, in Asia, he's well-known, a bit in the States too, but really, he is a producer and has written a lot of good stuff. I'm familiar with J-pop, so I kind of know his work a little bit. But he has a signature line of Epiphones, double cuts. These are double cut customs with Burstbucker 2 and 3s in them. Oh, don't worry about that, man. That's the name of that kind of game. You have with bidding. I'll get back to Tak Matsumoto in a minute, but getting back to that bidding thing, I don't feel bad about losing out because how they get you. I did get sniped, as like I said. That is a word. I went back to that Big Bang episode and looked it up, and yes, it is sniping. And I got sniped, and I expected it too. I was like, "There's no way that this is not going to go. This is going to go that cleanly." But the thing is, I don't know if it's somebody who's affiliated with the seller who's driving it up, trying to get it up to a certain price, or if it's legitimately another buyer. Either way, in your mind, the trick is to set a limit and say, I'm not going, because it's an emotional play. It's like running a race all of a sudden, 1 minute you're sitting in your armchair, just chilling, and the next minute you're in a sprint in this race, online. And you have to resist that. You have to say, because that's how they'll get you. Oh, yeah, okay, I'll do it. I wasn't going to go that high, but damn it, I'm not going to let this guy outbid me. No, you say, this is for, what is that? Picard says that you shall not pass it, or the line is drawn, it won't go any further, or something like that. Anyway, that's the attitude, is to draw a line and not go any further than that, and so I don't feel bad about it. So the Tak Matsumoto really, with the Burstbucker 2 and 3s in it, double cut custom black, with a case, has a COA. Interestingly enough, the Japanese signature model guitars come with a COA. To my knowledge, only the Joe Bonamassa stuff has COAs in it. So if that's important to you. But yeah, COA, custom, nice cases coming with. So that is on its way. And we will be checking that out soon. So that's actually more than a consolation prize. But I am excited about that. And the Flying V, also, the Epiphone Flying V, I got a bead on one in a shop in Osaka. And I'm trying to see, it's been there for a minute. I haven't had my guy that I have there on the ground looking at things for me hasn't had the time. He's actually been on traveling trips himself. So hopefully this week we'll see if that's still there. So that'll be on its way as well. So you can expect that. Um, yeah, so it is a good thing I was going to talk about tonight to maintain your guitar. I really think that one of the best things that you can do for your guitar that I learned in Japan and hanging out with going to Japanese shops, spending time with my Japanese band members and the things that they did in order to really maintain their guitars. And I have some things that I'd like to share with you, but I realized that I just left them in the next room. So sorry, guys. Give me 30 seconds. All right, forgive me. I set them down and said, hey, don't forget to bring these into the studio room. And of course, I forgot them. Yeah, I want to talk about maintaining your instrument. Fender Play is now offering Japanese guitars, but they are made of basswood. Well, my 19, what was that? I want to say it was a 90, no, maybe it was an 89 Telecaster, Monica Butterscotch. You guys have seen it. I used to have I Let It Go a little while back, but I had that one for a long time. Great Fender, made of basswood. A lot of the lower cost Japanese guitars are made from basswood, a majority of them. It isn't until you get into guitars like the signature model Tak Matsumoto's and some of the higher price ones that they, what do I think about basswood for? Yeah, I can dig that. I'll be honest with you. One of the reasons I liked Monica Butterscotch, and I told you I bought it at a pawn shop in Chulrinken, which is super Inaka, which is super countryside place in outside of Tokyo, at a pawn shop for like a couple $100, $100, maybe $200 tops. And it was a bass. I knew it was a basswood guitar, and I think it was priced right. Even though it was an old guitar, that when I bought it, it was an older guitar. I thought that was priced right. I've always felt that creep of quality woods just getting out of the reach of the everyman, and because of production costs, they're going to start making basswood guitars $1,100, $1,000. That my thoughts on it are that I don't think it's a great thing. It's not a bad wood, but it's not an expensive wood. So to justify that kind of price, boy, it better make me lunch. Baywood is a softer wood. No, it's not a bad tone wood at all. I told you, I love my recording. If the opening crawl for my regular show, that song Monica Butterscotch, that's that was named after my guitar. That song is about my guitar, and that tone is awesome. Dense either. Yes, it's extremely soft wood. I was doing a YouTube demo using Monica Butterscotch, and I think it's, if you go back to one of my older videos, and the strap, I wasn't using my little strap locks, and the strap came off and boop, bumped the floor, took a good dent into it, a really good dent into it. And this is a good segue into tonight's subject. And I was horrified, because yeah, it's like it's like the balsa wood of guitar materials. If you guys know what balsa wood is, it's that material you used to make the balsa wood airplanes out of when you were a kid. You put the kits together. Some of them had a rubber band propeller. Some of them were just gliders. But yeah, it's a real soft wood. Do I think it's $1,000? That creep, like I said, that's just inflation. That's a lot of things availability. I don't know. I don't know about charging $1,000 for that particular wood, but it's a sign of the times if that's how it is. But yeah, I dropped that guitar and I was horrified. And in order to repair or fix that, any kind of scratches or scrapes or anything like that, I used to do one of two things. I used to say, "Hey, I'm gonna let it go." It's just the way it is. Or if it really bothered me, I would take it down to a luthier and see if they could buff it out. Well, I learned from my Japanese guitar playing friends, like Keigo, uh, about really upkeeping your instrument. Japanese used, I've said this before, I'll say it again, is as good as new. You can walk through a used guitar shop in Japan and unless outside of somebody putting some stupid sticker on the thing, I mean, the Japanese don't swap pickups. They generally keep the guitar unmodded. They generally keep it as is, out of the box, and that's a fact across the board. And they generally don't mar, and they keep the finishes. They keep them very well. They keep them in the case at night in some people's cases. Excuse the pun. And some people just have a really good guitar rack that won't cause any kind of rashes. But sometimes stuff like that occurs, and on your guitar, and you want to try to keep it as best looking as possible because unless you're into punk, and then taking a chainsaw to it is kind of, one of those things. But outside of punk rock look for your guitar, or being one of those guys who, for some reason, again, you know how I feel on the subject, that likes relic guitars, who thinks that looks cool. I am the opposite. I think that an instrument should look good. You're on stage, you're performing, you want to dress good, your outfit, and that includes your gear. So I like to keep my instruments up, and just for me, I like to keep them nice. And I learned a couple of things. There are products out there that, although they are automotive products by and large, these really can be used to really keep a really beautiful finish on your guitar, whether it's poly or nitro. I've used these two items for years. Well, this one within the last few years, but this one for years to keep a finish, really nice on my guitar consistently. One of the biggest questions that I get on my YouTube channel in the comment section is, especially when I would bring out the Epiphone 59, is how did I get the finish on that, and how do I keep it looking so shiny? And of course, I said, well, initially I took it to Fern and he did an initial buff for it, but I took it home and finished that out by using these things. And so tonight's subject, although not an interesting one, uh, it is an important one that I want to share this week about maintaining the way that your instruments look. I really myself think that this right here, for any home, not even home, even if you have a studio or wherever, what kind of, or on the road kind of guy, this is something that you can take on the road with you and you can maintain your instrument. This is the Meguiar Scratch Eraser kit. It's the fine scratch and blemish remover. So if you ever get, sometimes when you put your guitar, I got an example here. So your standard guitar stand, sometimes these rubber protectors that, take a little bit of the vibration out of when you set it down and to protect your neck, but sometimes this can rub off on the back of your neck, especially if you have a violin finished guitar like an Eastman, or some nitro guitars are really sensitive. Poly, what it does is it leaves this fine filmy kind of thing. So if it rubs against this on your neck of your guitar, you'll see that. And I know you guys know that, you've seen that on your guitar. Sometimes you can take a micro fiber cloth, such as this. It was one of the great things that I like about this kit is that it comes with a really nice microfiber cloth. Sometimes you can buff those out with one of these, and that's okay. But sometimes you can't, and you're sitting there and you're saying, "Oh my gosh." Buckle rash. I'm a big, kind of dum dum when it comes to that, because I'll grab my guitar and I'll sit there and I won't even think about it. And I'm wearing, a belt that's got, pretty good, scratch factor on it. And I remember, oh my God, I look at the back of my guitar. Did I scratch it? Did I do anything about it? Yeah, I'm that kind of pedantic about it because I want to keep it nice. It's a nice guitar and I like to keep it nice. And, but you'll get those fine scratches. You'll get those fine scratches in your finish. And sometimes you'll start to get that initial buckle rash. Not deep gouges. This really can't help you with, but there are ways around that as well that we can discuss another time. But just for superficial, just surface scratches, little bit of that rub that you get sometimes from your guitar stand. This kit really does take it out. So one of the things that it employs is this doohickey here. If you have any kind of standard home drill, this is an attachment to that, and it acts as your buffer against your surface. And it's pretty cool. The fact that you can do that at home, that you can, sit there and buff out your guitar. Of course, if you're doing the top, you want to remove everything, all your hardware off the top. If you're doing the back like I did this week, and I actually did the back of my Vox mono guitar, Les Paul, I didn't see the need to take the jack plates off. As a matter of fact, to protect the electronics, I decided to keep it on, just put a little light tape over that, and buff the back of that out. I had some fine scratches and I had some buckle rash. I was horrified. I said, "You just got this guitar, you put buckle rash starting on the back of it." And buffed it out using this, and my gosh, I could when I was done, I could see myself in it. It was like a mirror reflection. That's how good this works, and it's so inexpensive. For less than 30 euros or 25 bucks or so, you could have this kit at home, and it's a simple maintenance thing that you can do to keep your guitar finish looking nice. Now again, you may be one of those guys who say, "Hey, Mike, that's too much hassle, too much trouble. I want with him. Plus, I wanna, make my guitar look played in." That's fine. I can dig that. But again, and this has nothing to do with resale value either. Of course, it doesn't hurt. What it has to do with just a personal preference. And if you like to maintain and keep a nice shine and a nice gloss to your guitar, then this is an essential tool that you should have at home. And for the price, there's no reason, and the ease of use, by the way, there's no reason why every guitar player, at least a home guitar player, shouldn't have this kit, this Meguiar scratch kit, eraser kit. Again, one of the cool things is that it comes with a proper microfiber cloth. You don't want to use just any old cloth. Goes back to Fender using car cable painted guitars the back of the day, and there's yeah. And as a side note, and thank you for bringing that up. Of course, Fender and Dunlop and everybody else has their own versions of these. They come in far smaller bottles and they have a much bigger price. A bottle like this will last you a long time, and trust me, you're not gonna pay more than a few dollars for this, even now with inflation. It's not gonna cost you a lot to buy these things. So you can go that route where you go, okay, I'm gonna go down to the music shop. What guitar polish do I use? What, this, and you can go through that, and that's fine because it's there. But don't be afraid of reaching out and kind of understanding what these finishes are either. Having understanding of the products that would be acceptable to use on your guitar. Uh, this one is a tough one. Carnauba is what you're looking for your. So this I use to get those fine scratches out. I then used a microfiber cloth to wipe off the excess um, uh, stuff that you apply here. What is it? Yeah. So just use a micro to wipe off the excess that you get on the back when you're done, and then follow that up with this right here, the Carnauba wax, and this is turtle wax. Again, not an expensive thing, but $5, and follow it up with this to buff out and to get the shine on the back. And then once a month, that was to get rid of those. And when I looked at the back, it had gotten rid of those fine little, you've seen those. If you look at your guitar back in the light, you'll see these fine little on the top as well, little microscopic scratches. It got rid of those because it basically it fills in those. So imagine it's like a trench, a microscopic trench. That stuff comes in and fills it in. And it got rid of that little bit of buckle rash, which I considered to be kind of bad, not great. And I couldn't even see it; it was gone. And so I was quite thrilled to have these on hand. And of course, saving money too. Not only are you avoiding, the usual suspects products, you're going out there using off-the-shelf products, but also you don't have to pay a luthier. You can pretty much really fix it up yourself and take care of yourself. So I follow that with the turtle wax here, and I give it a buff, and then once a month I take beeswax. So I have a particular scented beeswax that I use to once a month just buff it out. When I don't have to do any scratch repair or anything like that. So I just think that, yeah, and this is off the shelf stuff, guys. This is nothing that, is going to cost you an arm and a leg. And again, like I said, not the most exciting subject tonight, but one that goes along with the philosophy of helping you save money. Because, and this is, and a luthier, of course, needs to do work too, but I don't think any luthier would begrudge you doing something like this. Guitar maintenance, yeah, it's very important. And so the saving money aspect of it, yes, you can. A lot of guys out there you don't know. Some of you guys are like, well, yeah, I know that, but there's a lot of new folks who don't know that you can use these off-the-shelf car products to maintain a beautiful finish on your guitar, whether it's poly or nitro. Again, violin finishes, no. Those lacquer violin those are very delicate. Although you probably could get away with the Carnauba oil on those to give it a nice maintenance. But so even then, maybe it'd be an okay thing. But again, saving money. You don't have to buy the little. I saw a Dunlap guitar polish for 32 euros. I was like, what the hell? This is 5 euros. The beeswax that I use, I actually took it from a pure beeswax candle, and just transferred it to a little. Well, I don't even have to do that. I got it right here. Transferred it over to this jar, and inside here, that's my beeswax. So I use that with this other microfiber cloth once a month to, it smells nice too, because it's a scented. I like that. I like my guitars to have that, not that Gibson smell, but at least I want it to smell like a hippie's been playing it. And I use that once a month, that beeswax, just to put a little dab on. A little bit goes a long way, and just work it into the top and the back and the sides and the neck of my guitar, and just to give, and that gives it a protecting coat as well. And it's a very natural, non-chemical way of doing it. And that again, that's a $5 candle that I just took the wick out and put inside that jar, and I use it. Um, but it's pure. It's got to be pure beeswax. But these products here, again, not the sexiest conversation. I'll repeat again tonight, but a very important one, guys. I want you to think about maintaining your instruments, because what if it comes a day when that's what you've got is what you got? That, with things going the way they are in the world today, that could be a reality. Second thing is, not to be a doom and gloom guy, but that's just the truth. But even besides that, just on a practical level of being in, getting that kind of relationship with your instrument. When you sit there and you work it and you polish it and you change the strings, and you do basic maintenance on it, and you know how to set the bridge, you know how the height on your pickups where you like it, even the individual screws, you can even screw around with those if so inclined, and you start to get that kind of relationship with that instrument. um, the instrument will respond. I believe it's like I said. There's a lot of voodoo involved in some of this stuff, but I do believe that if you have an intimacy with your guitar, then and you maintain it and keep it, you'll have an eternal respect for it, and that will come through. You'll be proud when you play it too. You know. So there's that aspect of it that I think is important. I learned that from the Japanese, actually. Again, like I said, just observing them and seeing, these guys didn't have like 10, 20, 30 guitars. That's the other thing about, I noticed with my Japanese, none of my serious, hardcore, serious Japanese guitar playing friends seriously had more than 3 guitars. Tops. Tops. Hey, welcome. Thank you for showing up. Welcome, welcome. Hey to you too. They didn't have it. They didn't have huge guitar collections, and I sat there and I would watch Kago. Like I told you, he had a vintage Jaguar, '60s Jaguar that he picked up for nothing. It just happened to be at the right place at the right time when somebody brought it in, didn't know what it was, and he got it. But I would sit there and watch him after after we played our gig. He'd be along with Tonaru, the bass player. They'd take out their rag, they'd wipe down their instrument, real nice. They didn't just set it aside. They immediately got to taking care of that. Was the first thing they did, and put it in its case and get it, stowed away and ready to go home. And when they got home, they did the same thing. They took it out, wiped it down. They didn't just, crash on the couch. Oh, I'm tired. They took their instrument out. They checked it out to see if it was good. And that was, I guess, that's like, you're like a soldier. That's like your rifle. I am my, I am my rifle. My rifle is me, or whatever that was, from that movie. Yeah. So yeah, but they really had that kind of relationship, and it made a real big impression on me. That stuck with me to this day. So yeah, this is what I do. Everybody always asks me. I thought this week, as a subject, I would cover it. What do I do to maintain my instruments? And that goes for the bass behind me, this bass behind me as well. It gets, I know it doesn't seem like it, but it gets maintained. I look at it, even if I don't play it, I'll check it out at least once or twice a month. And yeah, so inexpensive ways of doing it. You don't have to go out there. Biggest takeaway, you don't need to buy the Jimmy Dunlop stuff of the world. There are cheap alternatives that'll last you a lot longer. And you don't have to take your guitar to Luther for simple scratches and things like that. Most of those, with a little bit of buffing compound, you can get those out. Again, what you need? You need a power drill and this, and you're good to go. So those are the main takeaways there, and just again having a relationship with your instrument where you're maintaining it like that. Don't be like my father's friend Jimmy, who loaned me my first guitar, and the strings on that thing hadn't been changed in 10 years, if ever, from the time it was bought. Change your strings. get the gunk out. You know, the funk is not in the gunk. The funk is in your fingers. So you get the finger gunk off your fretboards. Keep your guitar and your bass and whatever well maintained, and you will be a happy lad. Um, Next subject, pickups, price point. I want to talk about pickups a little bit. Where are we? How are we doing here? Oh, we're doing great. Yeah, I want to talk about pickups here a little bit. It's funny. So I sold a couple of guitars. I really was not prepared for this live stream tonight. I just sat here and realized I don't have my usual drink either. It's like I have nothing to sip on. Forgot the props that I wanted to use. Yeah, I think I was a little bit too lax in setting up tonight. Oh, I got 5 minutes. I got time to set everything up and have all my props and drink ready. No issues. I was editing actually YouTube regarding actually this actual subject that's going to be the main topic this week. I recorded with Uncle Carlton. We can't wait for you to grab. No, I'm good. I appreciate it, guys. I've already rudely gotten up from the circle once to go get this stuff. I can survive without a drink, but I appreciate you guys bear with me. Yeah, I sold a lot of guitars. I got rid of a lot of things because I have, if knock on wood, things work out, I have quite a few coming in. And as you know, that's the name of this game is, for YouTube to keep it fresh, some go out so that others can come in. But one thing that I was really remarking on is something that another byproduct of having a YouTube channel and having guitars come in and going out and actively going to shops and playing things is you start to pick up on certain things. Like I said, I've learned gravitas. Gravitas means that when I pick up a guitar, I can tell the build quality of it. Just, blindfolded, yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of you guys out there know what I'm talking about. So that's not such a big thing. But you do, after time and experience, it just happens. But the other thing is on pickups, is that my opinion on pickups is an ever moving target. And I don't know how it is with you guys out there. I've had guitars with burst buckers. I've had Mojo tones now, Wolf tones. I've had quite a few Epiphone pickups, all of theirs. I maybe unfairly tore apart Wilkinson's pickup once. Maybe I was being a little I still think that the wax job on it was poorly done. I've seen wax jobs. I've taken many pickup apart to flip the magnets. I know a good wax job when I see it, and that wasn't it. But I was a little harsh. They're not that bad. There's people out there who really love those pickups, and I offended quite a few of them. So, I'll let that one slide. My hardness on it. Good day. Welcome. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. And yeah, guys, so I played a lot of pickups, and you know what? I'm not a pickup snob either. I never considered myself one. I never considered myself a guitar snob. I just so happened to gravitate towards some pretty awesome guitars. I legitimately didn't have I knew Fender, I knew Gibson, of course I knew those things. By doing YouTube, I know a lot more, obviously, so that I'm not the same person I was even 10 years ago, 5 years ago. That's the reality of it, is in terms of those things, from what I've experienced over time. But pickups, with cheap pickups, and I would love to hear down in the comment section after this is done, you guys' thoughts on this, or even right now if I can. But I've learned something today. I love that line from South Park. I think that cheap pickups you can find some really gold in with them. But what is a pickup? It's the magnet, it's the windings of the wire, the casing, the bobbins. You know, is it brass? Is it this? Is that? You know, is it plastic? Is it silver? You know, the components. You got some winders out there who take the classic, PAF, and they don't try to change it. They try to replicate it as close as possible. What materials were used, what magnets were used, can we source these things? Or, we're talking about 50, 60 years ago. Can we even source things like this? And they try to replicate those as close as possible to the vintage PAF, and they charge an arm and a leg for them, but for just for good reason, because the research they did first, they had to buy the PAF or PFs, and the last time I checked, those things are going for about 2,500 to 3,000 per, if you can find them, and to pull them apart and to find out what makes them tick. And all the R&D work. So I don't begrudge them that, as on the opposite, as opposed to the cheap pickups made in China, which are sourcing, what's the cheapest magnets we can source? What's the cheapest enamel wire we can, if it's even enamel wire? What's the cheapest wire that we can source? What's the cheapest bobbins? And so the focal point of that, of course, is quantity over quality. However, ooh, don't you love it when Mike says, however? The point is about to be made. Within those, and I might be crazy, and this is just my thought now. This may change, so I'm throwing it out there as a hypothesis. But I truly believe that the quality of a pickup comes in the windings. I think there's really something there. Of course, it's the player. Look, guys, I know it's in the fingers. Let's put that aside and let's just focus on the physical aspects of why a Chinese a pickup sometimes can come out just as good as a boutique pickup. And I think it comes in the number of windings. Even with the Chinese pickups and being on those machines, they're not always precise. And that's why sometimes I've stumbled across some of the cheap, Epiphone pickups and others that sounded fantastic. That set that I had in the Epiphone 59 was a set. I took the burst buckers out because I told you I didn't like them. I didn't like them. I replaced them with a set of Epiphone Pro buckers because they sounded superior. They were more airy. They had an airy tone to them. But this is always subjective to the listener. But to me, they had a true PAF airiness. They had those overtones that you can sometimes find in a good set of pickups, and they had a depth to the character of it that I was not finding other than in the middle position on that guitar with the burst bucker 2 and 3. I think that you can find, and if you're out there on the search of pickups, I guess is where I'm getting at, is because I believe that the winding has something to do with it. Maybe this one cheap particular pickup had more winds than the others next to it. I don't know, but there's gold to be found out there in the cheaper pickups. So, I'm starting to come to the conclusion that before I pop down, of course, you guys know I like Q pickups. The guy in Croatia, he's a winder. He's on the boutique side, but he's just like my Vox Romana, it's a boutique guitar, but it's on the low end of the boutique for different reasons. And I think I'm pretty much, that's my sweet spot for myself. Personally, Tone Riders are pretty good too. Yeah, like I said, in that Vox Hermana, either it's Mojo Tone Alnico 5 pickups or it's Tone Rider Alabamas. It's one of the two. But when I let the Epiphone 59 go, I was more, the big concern in my mind was, should I save these pickups? Should I pull these out? And do I have something that I can put them in so that at least I can hold on to these? But I thought to myself, Well, you already have well, why don't you put the Burstbucker 2 and 3 back in? Well, because, you know, quite frankly speaking, I decided to hold on to those. And the guy who bought the guitar, he didn't care. He liked the way that those Epiphone pickups sounded. He said, it sounds great. Of course, I had done some wiring work. It had a bone nut, so it was about as tight as that guitar was going to get. But I decided to let him go with that because it just worked so well with that guitar, and it sounded so sweet and so good. I didn't want to separate that, so I let it go like that. I got the Burstbucker 2 or 3, but they're not worthless. They have value. I could put them up on Reverb for sale, but no, I'll hold on to them. But I miss those Epiphone pickups more, so dig that. However, fortunately, the pickups that I got stock or whatever, I don't know, they came with the Vox Romana guitar, had it more of a depth of character. They had the depth, the airiness, the depth of character that I liked. Interesting enough, the guy, even whoever owned it before, or the shop, they set that guitar and the pickup hypes and everything, even the pole pieces, the way that I like it. So whoever owned that guitar before was a man after my own heart. Because those pickups had a sweet airiness to it, and you guys know what I mean. These are descriptive terms, but they are bounded in some kind of reality. It had the overtones to it, and it had bark to it. They had bark to it as well. So I traded up even in that regard. So it was a bittersweet thing. But yeah, dig that. I've had expensive pickups. I've sold expensive pickups. I've had 70s pickups from Japan, from the States. I've had I've played just about every Lollers I've had. I've had a lot of pickups, and I really starting to think now, guys, if you're in the market for pickups, you'd be better suited just buying five, six, seven for the price that you would pay for a set of Lollers. You could go out and pick up 5 or 6 different sets. If it's a dual humbucker guitar of Epiphone and Wilkerson and those other pickups. And if you have the ability to do the soldering yourself, you could try several different sets of those in your guitar. And I bet you the 5 or 6 sets that would afford you for the price of those Lollers, just a single set of that Lollers, you're probably going to find a winner. You may even find 2 winners. You'll find, or you might find, or you can have a combination. You'll find a winner there, and save yourself. And then, of course, with the ones that don't work for you, you can put them back up for sale again. Somebody will buy them, so they're not completely worthless, and you've saved yourself a bit. Because I really do believe that would be the first way to go. Now, of course, there's room for the Seymour Duncans of this world. I think if you want to go and go that route, that's fine as well. There's fine pickups that are mass produced boutique is what I would call Seymour Duncan, actually. Um, and then the private winders up from there, Throwback, for example. Though that's like the epitome. You're talking about $600 a set. Before you do that, you may find something among those cheaper, pickups that might suit you. That's kind of my premise tonight. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I was thinking about that. I was like, it would probably be a smarter game, because if you do the soldering yourself, to just go out and buy 5 or 6 sets of Epiphone pickups, maybe throw in a couple of Wilkersons in there just for laughs, and and see, or even maybe, all right, go for 2 or 3 different tow rotors, because those are in the $50 range or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm thinking of something else. But in any case, but you guys get the point. Is that you'd have the chance to go through a lot more selection of pickups, and you might actually find something there that's gold. I did. I did it on a lark. I was doing a sound test, one of the last sound tests was a blindfold test, and I thought it'd be funny just to swap pickups so that people, thought they knew what was in the 59. and would tell me, "Oh, that sounds, like burst buckets." No, those aren't the burst buckets; those are the Epiphones, and I kept them in there. And yeah, so that was just a lark, and it just happened to. I was like, when I got it back from Fern, because he did the swap for me. I don't have the soldering equipment like I had in my studio in Singapore anymore. I need to replace that. I need to do something about that. It's on my to-do list. But Fern does it, he gives me a great deal, a great break. So, and plus I like talking to him. So I go down there and have him do that stuff and have a chat. And yeah, after I got it back from him, I was blown away. I was like, these are staying. The burst buckers can sit in a bag. So think about that, guys. There's options out there as opposed with pickups. What I'm saying is that, you know, you're just as these days, just as it is with guitars, you're just as prone to find something great pickup wise in the less expensive pickups than you are going out buying yourself a boutique set of pickups. Um, if I had a custom shop Gibson in the seven, eight, $9,000 range, then I would, and I was not happy with the pickups that it came with, which for God's sake you would hope that you would be, but maybe I'm not. Then of course I would say, okay, I'm going to throw in a set of throwbacks in there. By the way, once you do that, you better hold on to those other pickups because it's not going to increase the resale value even on that level of guitar. By the way. So you better, keep that in mind. If you do something like that, then on that level, I could conceivably grant you, the expense of a set of throwbacks. On an Epiphone guitar, you're gonna put a set of throwbacks in the Epiphone? No, nobody's gonna do that. Nobody's gonna do that. Or maybe they have, and I don't know it, but I haven't heard of it. No, but that doesn't mean that some of the lower price alternatives out there aren't going to get you there 100% as just as the more expensive ones. So something I thought about this week. I have these random thoughts on things, and I had that kind of another epiphany regarding this in pickups, because I'm not convinced anymore that you really need to go out there. I mean, of course, and you see these reviews on pickups online. 70% of the guys will say, hey, it's the best thing since sliced cheese. And 30% of them will say it sounded awful. Well, again, that gets back to inputs. Like, what rig were they going through? What wiring did they have on their guitars? What pots did they have? And there's so many things that go in that. But if you can get to the 70% mark where somebody says it sounds good, then pretty much I think you've gotten to territory where you know that it's a decent thing. And so if you care to, you can use that as a guide as well, if that helps you. But yeah, it's just a random thought I was having. Pickups, man. Why would I? Because I'm so happy with that guitar. I don't want to change the nut, which is something I always do because that nut that it came with is actually great. The pickups are awesome. I have no desire. The wiring, the pots, everything. There's nothing, I have to be Japanese about it. I have to make no modifications. I'm like, well, what else? It's like I have this need to look at something and to say, what can I change this? And I was looking at the pickups and I was thinking, I wonder what those burst buckers. That's why I thought about the burst buckers would sound in this just as a goof. But I was like, nah, you didn't like them in the Epiphone. What makes you think you're going to like it in this? And now I've got the Tak Matsumoto coming. I got another set of burst buckers on the way. But that guitar is staying stock. That guitar is for review only. That's not something I'm holding on to. This week coming up, again, the regular content show is going to first be talking about a little bit more detail about using these products to maintain your instrument. The next thing that I'm going to do is the conversation with Uncle Carlton. So yes, he's finally feeling better. And this afternoon I taped a interview with him, and so I'll be putting that up He talks about, again, we had to go back a little bit, but he gets into working with the Allman Brothers. Back at the time when Dwayne and Greg Allman were called Almond Joy, and he was playing with them at that time. So a lot of cool rock and roll history there. Next week's live stream. So I've mentioned him quite a few times. My good friend, the producer, Jock Richmond, Grammy nominated producer, Jock Richmond, and how he's working on mixing. We're going to talk about mixing or him mastering my album. We're going to talk about that. But he's actually going to be joining us for the live stream next week. We're going to do a split live stream. So this regular live stream, same time, Sunday at Mike's, we're going to be joined, if we can figure out the technology, by Jock Richmond. And he and I are going to be talking about the main subject that we're going to talk about is AI and in the music biz. From a little bit of conversation I've had, well, I won't spoil it, but that's one of the main topics. And we're also going to be talking about production stuff as well. And hopefully he'll be a regular. What a coincidence. I watched an Allman and brought a documentary. Yeah, Uncle Carlton, yeah, so you know about Almond Joy. That's the time, when they were Almond Joy, that's the time that my Uncle Carlton, he was there at the time when he tells a story of, unfortunately, Dwayne Allman's death. He was there the day. He knew what happened. He knew how it happened, why it happened, and he kind of gets into that. Bottom line, drugs are not the best thing for you to take when you're riding a motorcycle. But yeah, so he'll get into that. Jock Richmond and I will be doing a shared live stream, same time, same bad channel here next week on this program, Sunday at Mike's. So you have any questions or things like that, or you want, the topic is AI, so you put your thoughts towards that. And yeah, that's about it, guys. I woke up this morning, no, yesterday I shot a YouTube video. I did the interview with Carlton. I did some editing today. Yesterday I was dealing with Japan. Today I was writing a contract for somebody that I'm hiring. I have not taken any time off this week. I just realized that it's midnight on Sunday. So I've screwed the pooch on that one. So I'm going to call it early here tonight. I'm actually going to go have that drink of, not tea. It's a little too late for that now, but maybe warm milk. I'm going to watch The Big Bang Theory to relax my mind. And I'm going to hope and pray that you guys have a good week and that you are all safe and sound with you and your families, and that we can all come back together here next week. And have our good friend Jock Richmond come in and explain to him why it's taking so long for him. No, I'm just kidding. But with that, we'll talk to Jock about stuff. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it. No, we're actually working on that album, and I've decided I'm actually going to have that up on a website, a private website. That's going to sell the record when it's done. I'm going to sell it privately, either via download online that I'll hook up, or a physical medium that I'll figure out. But that's what's going to happen with that record. Website is also going to have some guitars for sale on it as well. So yeah, there's some moves that are coming up here, guys, that I'm excited about, to keep life interesting for me, to keep busy, to keep doing things, keep working. I pray the same thing for you guys out there. Keep working, keep doing, keep hustling, and keep your friends close. Let them know that they're a friend, you appreciate them, and just basically have a good week, guys. And I will see you. Don't forget to hit the show this week. Don't forget to hit the like button. I see 10 guys out there so far and 6 likes, so hit the like button if you're on the way out, guys, if you've forgotten. If you're watching this on the rerun, do the same. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet and you like the content, more of this is coming, a lot more, God willing. and we will be bringing it to you. And if you'd like to subscribe, hit the subscription button. Until the next one, guys, I will see you around. Be good and take care.